Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the meeting of the Orange County Board of Supervisors for February 14th, 2017. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Before we begin, I'd like to state Supervisor Nelson is teleconferencing in today's meeting from Washington, D.C. Supervisor Nelson has been patched into the boardrooms. Supervisor Nelson, are you on the phone?
I am.
Great, thank you. Perfect. We'll begin our meeting with the invocation to be offered by Vice Chair Doe, and today's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Supervisor Bartlett. Would you all please stand?
Please bow your head. Dear Lord, we open this meeting in prayer in honor of you, to remind ourselves of your place in our lives. We ask for your blessings. May we remember the deeper meanings of this day as we share fellowship with one another. We ask that your wisdom guide us as we seek to accomplish the goals on today's agenda. Thank you for the opportunities you have given us to serve you and the people of the County of Orange. We are reminded that life can be very hard for those who do not have a place to call home. Please bless them. We are also reminded that our servicemen and women and our first responders face enormous challenges each day in protecting our country and our freedom. Please bless them and their families. We pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in saluting the flag of our great nation. Right hand over your heart. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Chair Doe and Supervisor Bartlett. Just a couple of reminders for today's meeting. Please use the side entrance to my left when entering and leaving the room. All other doors are alarmed and are for emergency exit only. Please set all phones to mute or vibrate at this time and for the duration of the meeting. A listing of changes to today's agenda along with agendas and requests to speak are located on both sides and at the back of the room. The board will be breaking for lunch around the noon hour, during which time we'll recess to closed session. We'll now move to the public comment section of the agenda. At this time, members of the public may address the Board of Supervisors on any items on the agenda, excluding public hearings, or on any issue that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. This is the only opportunity for public input except for scheduled public hearing items. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes for all comments. When you are called to speak, please step to the podium, and we request that you state your name and city of residence for the record. Please note the light on the podium. The green light means you have 3 minutes. The light changes to yellow when you have 1 minute left, and the light turns red when your time is up. We ask that you observe the time limits so that all who wish to speak will have an opportunity to do so. When addressing the board, please address the board as a whole through the chair. Comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted. Madam Clerk.
Projector, please. This is Heidi Zimmerman, president of Oma's Angels. We represent the growing population of homeless. It makes me very, very sad that we have to bring in the ACLU to fight for basic human rights. No disrespect for you, but I think you all need to go back to a class on the rights of Americans. And for Sean Nelson in Washington, D.C., I'm going to read a quote from you where you're saying that the homeless are not locked in. We have homeless here today that will vouch. I walked there yesterday. It takes me a mile to get out. You've broken it up into 2 camps now. The North Camp, it takes a mile to walk out. The South Camp, it takes a mile to walk out. Stop lying to the media, because the media is here and they see that it is not true what you're saying. Also, we have nonprofits. All of us here are willing to more than help make this a beautiful place. We can provide food. You are stopping us from delivering food. We can provide water. Basic human rights. The United Nations declared water and sanitation as a basic human right. I cannot believe I have to come here to the United States, Orange County, and remind you of what is a basic human right. You are stopping us from delivering water to disabled vets, pregnant ladies. I don't understand what you should all come down here sometime and see. The United States is different from any other country. The United States was based on one purpose. The purpose of government in the United States is to protect the rights of humans. Go look in your history books. What makes us different? Why do we have to bring in the ACLU? To remind you of what human rights are all about. I came in last time and I begged for you to let me deliver water to Denise, and instead what you did is you locked her belongings in. I have to bring the ACLU in here to make a 3-foot opening. This is unacceptable. A 3-foot opening at the end of a mile. And one other thing I want you to know. The majority of the people are horrified by what you have done. And the reason why they're not here is because they're busy working. If you really want to hear public comments, you should make them in the evening when the average American in Orange County can come to visit you and tell you how disgusted they are with your behavior.
Thank you. Next.
Now, I'm not done. I have 28 more seconds. We have a growing support from everyone, and unfortunately, this Board of Supervisors is the last one to wake up. The churches are upset, the nonprofits are upset. We have the media here, Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 5, Channel 4. We have OC Weekly, the Register. When is this Board of Supervisors going to wake up? We could take care of this place. We could bring in everything for you. We have people that are willing to bring in sanitation. We have people willing to bring basic human rights to this county. Go take your history class.
Next speaker, please.
Eve and Brooke.
Good morning. My name is Eve Garrow. I'm a policy analyst and advocate for the ACLU, and I am proudly speaking today on behalf of OC Home, a newly formed coalition of attorneys, law professors, law students, legal service organizations, and others who believe that Orange County must end homelessness now. Many of our members are here today to speak about the urgent issues that have arisen with the eviction of people from the Santa Ana riverbed, but we're also interested more broadly in Orange County's approach to ending homelessness. One of our first actions was to analyze and read with interest the report entitled An Assessment of Homeless Services in Orange County, which was prepared by Susan Price, Director of Care Coordination. We have written a letter to the Board of Supervisors in response to that analysis, and we write to express some of our serious concerns about the report. While we find that it correctly identifies the primary driver of Orange County's homelessness crisis, which is a crippling shortage of affordable and permanent supportive housing, not to mention a severe shortage of shelter and program spots, the report is short on effective solutions. So we urge the board to view the shortage of permanent affordable housing documented in the report as a call to action and to take 2 sensible steps to address this shortage, neither of which are included in the report. First, create a sustainable funding source for the development of affordable housing units. And second, reject the report's call for continued enforcement of ordinances that criminalize sleeping and camping in public. Instead, the board should repeal these counterproductive, costly, unconstitutional, and inhumane laws. And we can see this sort of confluence of these policy failures. One, the failure to provide housing, and second, this law enforcement approach unfolding in the Santa Ana riverbed right now. And I can tell you that this is not a happy Valentine's Day for people living in the encampment at the Santa Ana riverbed who are being evicted with no legal alternative place to go and being replaced with large boulders. People living in the riverbed ask me, they wonder why resources are being spent on boulders first, while their lack of housing goes unaddressed. We urge you to shift priorities and to treat the people living in these encampments, to treat these growing encampments as the humanitarian crisis that it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Please
The next
stop
three-
clapping. This is not performance. This is the public comment section. Thank you.
The next three speakers after Brooke, if you can line up behind the podium, is Lily Graham, Sable Landrum, and Julie Crandall.
Good morning. My name is Brooke Weitzman. I'm an attorney with the Elder Law and Disability Rights Center and a member of OC Home. I know a lot of us are speaking today regarding homelessness, and it's not on the agenda, but that's all the more reason why we're here. We know this is a crisis in Orange County, and the conversation, while you have taken some steps, is not happening enough. The deaths of people who are homeless in Orange County have reached an all-time high of 200 in 2016. The number of people without shelter is continuing to increase, and the weather is getting worse. It's getting colder, there's more rain, and that means that lives are in danger every day that we're not taking steps to resolve this. People's immediate risk to health and safety only increases when the county's current policies are in place. When people return to the riverbed from getting food, going to the restroom, going to medical appointments, they often find that their limited belongings have been confiscated and destroyed. This includes tents, tarps, warm clothes, blankets, sometimes documents. The Ninth Circuit has held repeatedly that the unattended belongings of unhoused people cannot be considered abandoned simply because the people are not there, that they must leave for basic necessities like food, the restrooms, medical appointments. The court went on to find that because these belongings are protected under the Fourth Amendment, that when they are seized, that they must be stored in an accessible location with a meaningful process to reclaim the belongings, especially when even one night without these things puts people's lives in danger. The county's current policy does not meet this standard. Items taken in the riverbed are transported to Lake Forest, over 20 miles away. At that location, they may be retrieved during 1 hour, 1 day, each week, if you have an appointment. Otherwise, the lot is not manned. To make matters worse, the notice posted in the riverbed has the wrong address on it. What that means is that if someone's belongings are taken and stored rather than destroyed, in order to reclaim them, a person living in the riverbed must have a cell phone, have a way to charge that cell phone, call at a time when someone is manning the phone for the lot, manage to get an appointment, then find a ride or pay someone to take them to the lot because the bus system wouldn't allow them to carry all their stuff back, and the nearest bus stop is a little ways away, and there's not a sidewalk right in front of the lot. So they have to get all the way there, get their belongings, and then bring them back out to the riverbed where they live because they've been pushed by law enforcement out of other areas. This is unreasonable and inhumane. Furthermore, if they do manage to do all that, the items aren't marked by person. So if someone else gets there before them, their items may be taken by someone else since they're not separated by who they came from. This policy, furthermore, violates the U.S. Constitution, the California Constitution, and California laws. Because of that, yesterday, we filed a lawsuit asking the county to cease the property seizures until the county can provide a reasonable way for people to obtain their belongings, adequate storage and procedure for the recovery of these belongings, and to keep them segregated so that a person's belongings are able to be reclaimed. Thank you.
Go
Good
ahead.
morning, members of
Morning.
the Board of Supervisors. My name is Lily Graham, and I'm an attorney with Legal Aid Society of Orange County. We're here because we are concerned about the homeless encampments and the county's lack of resources devoted to the residents that live in the riverbed and also at Civic Center. Legal Aid provides free legal services to residents of Orange County, and what we've been doing with the homeless is providing weekly outreach where we go out and try to remove barriers from the homeless in order for them to help with housing. But we need the county to do their part. We need resources. We need money towards housing, shelter, and services that allows these residents to actually find housing. We can only do the legal part where we remove these barriers, where we help with criminal records, we help with paperwork. But what you've created here in Orange County is a perpetual cycle of homelessness. Enforcement creates more homelessness. When you find residents that are homeless, you are taking what little resources they have and taking it away for them to even have a chance to start. You also creating by taking away their belongings. What we do on a weekly basis that we see at our weekly outreach is we're getting IDs. We're getting basic paperwork for residents because what happens, what a previous speaker spoke about, is their property is being taken. You're creating a perpetual homelessness cycle that will not end if actual resources are not put towards the homeless. We submitted a letter to the Board of Supervisors identifying these issues. And what happened on February 8th down at the riverbed, at the Santa Ana riverbed, is the opposite of what we would like. You put up barriers around encampments after the people at the riverbed had suffered weeks of rain and cold. Have you been down to the riverbed? It is unbelievably inhumane how people are being treated. We need adequate shelter. We need adequate housing here in Orange County. This is a county with so much wealth, and we should be devoting some of that wealth to people who are in the most need. The unlawful seizure of property needs to stop. There needs to be a way so that they can actually get started. By taking people's belongings, a lot of their essential items like medication are being taken. The criminalization is not working. That enforcement is just going to create this ongoing cycle. So what we're asking for you to do is stop the maintenance down at the riverbed until you've created safe zones, until you provided resources for housing, until you open Kramer. You have to give them another alternative. You cannot just close them up, shut them out of their few belongings that they do have. Thank you.
Please do not clap. We just don't want to waste time here, and it's not the performance here. It's a public speaking session. So please be quiet, and let's hear for next speaker. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sable Landrum. I am a staff attorney with Legal Aid Society of Orange County, and I'm also a Costa Mesa resident. I'm here on behalf of the homeless residents of the riverbed. For better or worse, these individuals have no home, and they've established shelter space at the riverbed. It's the space they currently call their home. Many have physical or mental disabilities that are both visible and invisible. And my interactions with the clients and the county has demonstrated to me that the county has not done an adequate job in considering the needs of these individuals who have disabilities. Our clients are treated with less respect and have less security than the pile of boulders that have recently been placed there. For example, one of our clients has been a client of the Regional Center for 30 years. She was a Section 8 and Shelter Plus recipient. However, because of the inadequate housing in Orange County, she is now left homeless. She is now staying at the riverbed. She had to leave her property on Thursday briefly and was unable to get back to her property without my assistance. She has disabilities, both physical and mental, and while it would seem reasonable to ask her to access her property from the points that were provided by the county, for someone who has a physical disability, it is not that simple. It is not as simple to say, walk a mile down the road and enter. An alternative access point was provided, but that access point is the access point that is staffed during the day only. When the county workers are not there, that access point is not available to someone who has a disability or to someone who is able-bodied. And the county is expecting people to move their property that they have in place at the east side of the riverbed, and they're suggesting they either move their property to the west side of the riverbed or give up that property and go to a shelter. However, no assistance is being provided, and this particularly affects those with disabilities. I was told that assistance is provided, but that assistance is in helping people sort through their belongings, not to pack them up, not to move them. So people have a choice of either abandoning their property if they cannot move them themselves, or they're stuck remaining in place where fencing is being placed around them. And again, if you have a disability, coming in and out is not that simple. People have, this one client, for example, that I helped last week, her disabilities, her whole life has been full of instability. And not having adequate information about where to go to retrieve her belongings should they be taken, that's just providing more stress and more instability in her life. There's unclear instructions as to what may be stored, how to obtain what's in storage, and accurate information, as we've been told, is being provided, and no assistance with transportation is being provided. Again, disproportionately affecting those with disabilities and those who don't have access to transportation. The actions of the county has been premature, and we ask that you come up with a plan to provide accommodations for those with disabilities before you proceed.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next three speakers after Ms. Crandall are Danny Somerville, Lou Noble, and Michael Deal.
Good morning. I'm Julie Crandall, and I'm with Legal Aid Society of Orange County. I work there as a paralegal. It's fitting that I speak to you today because I'm going to be talking to you about love. I have a client who is living at the riverbed for several reasons. She has been a victim of a series of unfortunate events. She's made a few poor choices, and she also is committed to her marriage. In the matter of her marriage, she is so committed to sustain her marriage and to be a good wife and to be able to live in a place where over 50% of marriages end in divorce. In order to stay with her husband, she has been fighting to live in a place that provides dignity and humanity, but she has not been able to find that. She lives at the riverbed, where she has no access to bathrooms, no access to food, and no access to potable water. She is fenced in and unable to get out. Why does she live like this? Because there is no sustainable shelter for her. There is no sustainable shelter for a married couple without children and a pet. There is no apartment that they can afford, and there is no place where there is no support from the county. So they are living at the riverbed in a tent with no common dignity or humanity items that we take for granted each and every day. Her husband and her are attempting to move, but they can't get their items out of the riverbed. He fastened a cart and attached it to his bicycle and put what they could fit into the cart and rode his bike all the way to Lake Forest with their items in the basket. When he got there, he was told there was not enough room for them to store them, so he rode his bike all the way back. He waited 2 days and rode his bike back to the storage facility and asked if he could save a spot and without having to transport his goods one more time. He was declined and sent away again. This is not acceptable. This couple is trying to do what many couples try to do each and every day under the best of circumstances, stay together and fight for their family. No matter what your background is, we have been charged to love one another as we have been loved, to love our neighbors. Who are our neighbors? Are they the people that live across the street in their well-manicured lawns? Are they either your family or your friends, the ones who are easy to love? Or are they the people who maybe are not unlovable, who are unlovable by visual signs? People with mental illness, people with criminal past, people who don't look like you and I, who don't have a clean place to get ready every single day. I tell you, it's both. It's the people that you know, it's the people who are easy to love, and it's the people who are difficult to love. So today, I charge you and challenge you to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And I ask you to make these changes, to find sustainable shelter, to give apartments with affordable housing, and to give our clients dignity and humanity. If you are willing to stand up for this basic need, for this basic thing that we value so dearly as love, I ask you to stand with me and support the homeless people and provide what they should be provided.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Danny Somerville. I'm with For Him Ministries, also homeless intervention. I'm an ex-felon. I was homeless with my daughter. His house took me in, saved me. Now I'm an advocate for the homeless. I'm an outreach worker for Placentia Presbyterian Church. I'm down on the riverbed almost every day, okay? I've left my card with many of you here, and no one's ever contacted me. The address on the bottom here that's been furnished is incorrect. You know, you guys are under the skies that you're storing rocks and sand. That's a lie, you know. I mean, I could really, you know, tell you guys that some shady stuff's going down, but I'm going to say it's a mistake. You know, somebody's made a mistake somewhere. That there's no sand being stored. If they were, you know, piling rocks to be stored, they'd be in piles. They wouldn't be in the homeless encampments. Okay, they did the same thing. I've been down there for 5 years helping the homeless. Okay, behind Catella there, along the fence line, they did the same thing. They stored the rocks there. Why would they store them against the fence line? Pushed out 120 homeless people. You know, I mean, Susan Price isn't doing anything. She opened this courtyard across the street. There's 10% of your civic center in there. You know, I work with Mercy House. I work with Salvation Army. I work with Carl Glover from OC Mental Health. I work with Julia Cross from Illumination Foundation. Me, myself, an ex-thug, I've gotten 200 people off that riverbed that haven't returned, that have jobs, that don't do drugs anymore, that have found housing. They're on my Facebook page. You know, you go to my Facebook page, you see what I do. You know, and that's me. I'm a nobody. You know, I was one of them. You know, and all I see is pushing people out, writing people tickets. You know, limiting their access in and out. You know, there's a girl there, Sarah, that fell down. She's epileptic. She's mentally ill. She can't get her medication. Fell down. She has 32 stitches in her chin. She broke her hand. You know, I helped a gentleman the other day that urinated and defecated himself because he couldn't get through the locked fences. I mean, it's crazy. You know, if I can do this, and this Susan Price has a degree in whatever, how come she can't do this? Why are you guys locking them out? Why are you guys bringing in rocks? You know, that's what you do to pigeons. You know, they put the sharp things on the sign so they don't land there. You know, you don't do that to people here. It's all about building trust. You know, people down there trust. You want to go down there? I will take you from the 91 to the 22. Everybody on the riverbed knows me. I'll take you down. I guarantee you safe passage. I'll show you exactly what it's all about. You know, it's crazy. There's people down there that are homeless, that are working. I have my two friends here that are homeless from working. You know, that's crazy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Board people, my name is Lou Noble. I'm an advocate and boots on the ground out there in the parks and cities and riverbed. Proverbs 22:22 says, "Rob not the poor because he is poor, neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. For the Lord will plead their cause and spoil the souls of those who spoil them." One of the things that was brought out last meeting was a genocide. Mr. Sean Nelson was upset that anybody could even think of that. Well, this is not necessarily genocide, but it's practically a little bit worse when people are dying slowly. Every year that we postpone more relief for them, and you just put a little dent on the problem. Now you have gotten from HUD over 19.5 million in 1 year and plus growing, and yet nonprofits, that's where the money goes, the police or whatever other means, but the simple. It's like, okay, we don't have any money. We don't, we only get 6 cents to the dollar. Well, I've actually advocated for safe zones, camping grounds, for the people who are waiting for housing, people who are waiting for their Social Security because they get denied for years, people that have vouchers for and can't get a house because there is no affordable housing. Yes, home housing first is great, but that's a 10-year plan. In the meantime, people dying out there. I'm out there looking at all these people. People work. These people actually pay taxes because they work part-time, but they can't afford a house, a room, okay? We don't realize that 2008 we had a recession. Now we're in a depression, and nobody tells us that. Our government doesn't tell us that. Our media doesn't tell us that, but that's where we're heading right now. And if we don't actually implement safe zones in the meantime, because we can't treat people like dogs because they will start acting like dogs.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next three speakers is Raymond Latasi, Addie McLellan, and Brandon Summers.
My name is Raymond Latanzi. I am homeless. Danny's a good friend of mine. What you're doing to the riverbed, it is bad for all of our health. Right now I suffer from low blood sugar. It's all the stress. You guys forced everybody to bring their stuff over the fence. Now I got a hernia because I was forced to throw stuff over the fence and helping my friends over the fence as well. You guys need to help us out. We all need help. I don't do drugs. My wife, she has 4 jobs. She doesn't get enough to get a place. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, I'm Addie McClellan, and I'm a student at Chapman University. A student who is outraged with the treatment of other members of our community. The Santa Ana Riverbed is only a 10-minute drive from our campus, and for at least the 4 years I've been at Chapman, it's been a home for many people that are suffering from homelessness, and has been a place for them to settle and create a community there. I am one member of a swarm of other students at Chapman who find this eviction of these residents horrendous, unnecessary, and choose to stand with the residents and support the residents in their ability and their their need to stay in the riverbed. Supposedly, the rocks are being put there for certain purposes, but after going down to the riverbed, I fail to see how there can be any other purpose than just to push the residents off the only place they have to go. It's just another lucid attempt to try to hide the growing homelessness problem in Orange County. And do you truly believe that this is for the better? Do you truly believe that you are doing any good with what you are doing by pushing these residents and their lives off to the side, hidden away? This was a place for them to go, and now they have nothing else, and it's only for rocks. I don't understand the logic in the purpose of this project. It's not relocating the residents is not a viable option, and you all know it. The courtyard isn't an option. These are not permanent options for these people. We demand that you stop the public works project of putting the rocks in the riverbed and leave the around 400 residents living between Catella and Memory Lane alone. Until you install low-income housing, build more shelters, and start looking for long-term solutions for this crisis of homelessness, then nothing else will do. We, the students of Chapman, are speaking for this and want to help these people in our community, and you are not serving those interests by doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next three speakers after Brandon Summers is Kimberly O'Neill, Nancy West, and Lee Blasik.
Hi, I'm Brandon Summers. For 4.5 years of my life, I lived on the streets, homeless in Orange County. I've been off the streets now for like 3 years, and could I have you guys watch a video real quick? Does this work? It's from my phone. Could I do this? Okay. And so I have more friends that are homeless that are not. Like, my friends around Aliso, Lake Forest, and the Lugan Hills and Lugan Yale area, if there's a camp cover, if there's a tree cover, if there's bamboo, the city are coming in and they're taking away the bamboo. They're cutting down the trees. Where there's no tree cover, where there's just row of camps along a riverbed, there's no tree cover for them to cut down. So what they do, they place boulders, and they use it. They set the causes for public works for erosion or flood control. The flood control would be down in the riverbank, and the erosion would be on the side of the hill. But the boulders are a place where the tents are. It's just to keep the homeless out. So, like, you prayed today, this morning, and I thought that prayer was awesome. So I would think that you're a Christian. And there's a verse in the Bible that says, "Bury one another burdens so fulfill the law of Christ." So we have to come together as a community to help this hurting community. The safe zone, this gentleman over there mentioned a safe zone. I think that's a perfect idea. The Civic Center across the street, I just talked with them today. They're full. They're not allowing any more homeless to live there. And the homeless, there's pretty much done speaking, but there's a lot of homeless out there, and we need to help them and do our best to do so. And thank you.
Thank you for coming. Next speaker, please.
Hello, good morning. My name is Kimberly O'Neill. I'm a resident of the city of Orange for the past 25 years. I'm an independent journalist as well as an independent activist. And I'm here supporting human rights, which that includes homeless rights in Orange County. I encourage each and every one of you to actually go down to the riverbed and not just be there for an hour, but actually sleep and see how it is down there in the cold, in the rain, and see how they're being mistreated. And then you'll understand exactly what they're feeling down there. I'm outraged how my city has decided to remove them from my city and move them over to the riverbed, and now they can't even be in the riverbed. So where are they supposed to go? There's not enough shelters here in Orange County. There's one and it sucks. Supposedly one's going to be built in Anaheim. Is that it? You need more. Exactly. Thank you, sir. There are over 1,500 homeless in the riverbed, and probably even more in other cities in Orange County. I saw this morning that you guys created an app to help residents of Orange County. Does that also include helping residents that live in the riverbed, that live out in the streets, that they can use that as a resource for them? Or is that even a possibility? I really don't think so. My friend Mohammed gave me this, and I'm going to pass this out for you guys to actually read. Please don't throw it away. Actually read it. Take a look at it. And I encourage you, all of you, to actually go down to the riverbed. And one last thing that I'm going to be saying is that if you guys care to get my vote, I would appreciate you guys fixing what's going on here in Orange County. It's unorganized, and nobody seems to care. And that's a disgrace. So if you want my vote, then do something about it, or I'll find someone else to replace you. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, members of the board. I'm Nancy West from Anaheim. I read the county's 10-year plan to end homelessness, and it clearly acknowledges that the homeless are entitled to human rights. Yet homeless humans are treated like rats by law enforcement, thus perpetuating homelessness, all because of the county's failure to address the root cause of the problem. The county's plan is unrealistic, it contains no step-by-step measures, is full of loopholes, and it really just looks like a PR gimmick. Well, the 10-year mark is approaching, and homelessness has increased by about 30%. I'm working on a reachable, affordable, permanent, and well-formulated plan that meets health and safety codes. My outreach group and I hope to go over it with anyone on the council who has interest in this matter. Once this plan is operational, then consider boulders and vagrancy charges, but not before. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is E.J. Snell.
Good evening, folks. First off, I want to tell you, ma'am, First Amendment right, that's expression. We can't applaud. We do have that right, so I don't know where you're from, but I would go back to school and get a true education. Second off, this is America. I am appalled at what brings me down here today from Newberry Springs. I'm not going to cry, but I'm going to lose some of my voice because I'm so mad I could launch. This is America. I remind you, we can't applaud. We don't eat dogs, we don't eat cats, and we do not harvest and grow organs for harvesting. Let me slow down and get some breath to my brain. You know, when I came in here, you had your Gestapo out there. I was the next one to come in, and they shut the door down. There were seats inside here. That's the way you run this county. What brings me here today is Nate and the Buena Park Church, which they shut down Pastor Wiley's church, homeless church. But I want to talk about Nate first. His father's got a 7,000 page of legal documentation. I'm working on right now. You remember how it was municipal and superior courts? Then it went to superior courts. Then the state come in and hogged them all up and went to state courts. Well, the ball needs to keep rolling, and we need to go to federal court. And we need to get rid of it and abolish this state court system. It's a sewer from children in foster care. Whew, let me get a breath here. To bail bonds issues. The foster care and the conservative Nate Treasure's issue. It's terrible. It's terrible what you people are doing. You know, I just want to know my last 10 seconds so I can add a prayer. Please allow me my last 10 seconds. You know, the Buena Park City Attorney, he says homeless are like cats. You come back and they feed them. You know, and I want to get back to Nate's issue real quick. Everybody here needs to go on their internet and look at Mad in America by Peter Gosky, what the pharmaceutical industry has done. They're over-medicating. They medicate children as young as 1.5 years old in California to handle the separation anxiety. That's pathetic. This is America, folks. And what we're doing here with these homeless, you just shut down Pastor White. He takes in the worst of the worst of the worst. The ones that can't live at the river because they're so whacked. He takes them in. And they didn't come up and say, oh, Pastor, we want to help you. No, they come in with some gay dude, and he's flaming all over the place, dude. Excuse my opinion of this Buena Park people. Let me give me the last 10 seconds here. Dear Father God, we ask you to come here, Father God, to remove the evilness from this building and to strike Orange County for their evilness and their wicked ways. Let them see the error of their ways and let you people feel what we feel and what the other people feel for you not representing. And anybody wants to do a recall, I do them well. It's etsnell@ymail.com, and I'll help anybody that wants to recall this whole board. Thank you. God bless you. May God have mercy on your souls for what you're doing to the children and the people.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Speaker, please.
You are not
Hello, my name is Janine Robbins, and I am a 56-year resident of this county. I have never left this county, living the last 25 years in Anaheim. I am here to talk about the homeless. First, I want to ask you guys a question. How many of you paid a physical visit to the riverbed last week? I mean, actually parked your car and walked to the chain link fence that encloses the riverbed. In this morning's Orange County Register, the county, you, are denying that the homeless were fenced in, cutting off access. That is simply false. Last Wednesday, we were only able to access the riverbed through a hole that had been cut in the chain link fence. Next, I wasn't able to attend the meeting last Thursday, but my husband did. He gave me a brief synopsis of what had happened, especially what Sean Nelson had responded to the speakers. However, until I watched the video last night, I didn't really comprehend the scope of Sean's speech, and I was furious. Let me say it is my opinion that Sean addressed the speakers in a patronizing manner, basically calling them liars because he disagreed with their words. He tried to make himself out as a neighbor who happened to run for office, yet he has made himself totally inaccessible to his constituents. I spoke to Natalie Wiekert in his office last Wednesday, who assured me that he would return my call by the end of the week. She was also to send me an email the same day with some additional information. Neither of these things have happened, and I've still not heard from anybody. I have also repeatedly asked Mark Lopez, who I personally know, to set up a conversation with Sean, and this has not happened. I live in his area, and I cannot get hold of my representative. Let me say that the public is quickly losing faith in this board. The newspapers are full of information about the illegal operations in the DA's office, in the sheriff's office, and now among the Board of Supervisors. I attended an Anaheim community meeting last week where the lieutenant in charge, Lieutenant Friesen, stated the true purpose of the riverbed projects, and it was not for flood control. He stated that the Boulder project was happening to make the area uninhabitable for the poorest residents and to prevent access to vehicles that were there to provide services for the homeless. There was a rep there from the utility department who stated that people are living approximately 30 years longer due to clean water and sanitary conditions. You are denying these basic services to the homeless population, thereby sentencing them to a shorter lifespan than normal. Over 650 deaths since 2013. Sean Nelson has stated that there's little money to help the homeless. Let me read a clip from the February 5th Orange County Register. Susan Price is asked whether the county has the money to do everything it needs to help the homeless and prevents their deaths. Price paused for a moment. Yes, she said. So who here is lying? It is time for you to step up and do something, or this homeless crisis that you have allowed to happen will be your legacy. Evicting people who are living in the riverbed is what you will be remembered for, and it is inexcusable. It is shameful what you are allowing to happen in the riverbed. How you manage to sleep at night is beyond me.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next three speakers after Michael Robbins is Elia Seglin, Robert Seglin, and Jennifer Muir-Butin.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Board. I do have a really mean speech and an okay one and then some numbers, but I'm not going to use the mean one. Well, so they did mention 200 people died on the street last year. That's 5% of the homeless population. And of course, in the normal population, that's about 1% per year. So it's a 500% greater death rate among the homeless. I believe this is through neglect. It's sanctioned by the governing body. And at this particular point, you're allowing the arrest of the homeless, forcibly removing them from their piece of dirt and destroying their meager belongings, causing them greater mentally and bodily harm. I think there's something about it here, but I really want everybody, especially the ACLU, because we were looking at some numbers the other evening. The Mental Health Services Act has collected billions of dollars for the homeless in the last decade. Last year, the county was appropriated $114 million. The fund still has as a balance $219 million at the end of the year, according to this act. This money is for the reduction of homelessness, timely access to needed help, employment, vocational training, education and social services, reduction in incarceration, reduction in institutionalization. And here you're spending millions to do the opposite, to incarcerate them, take away their little piece of dirt, and destroy their property. So I don't know where the money is, where it's going, but it needs to go to the homeless. They need to be served on site at this particular time. They need bathrooms and they need showers. And if you put up a service facility on site that helps them get haircuts and get clean and clothing and health services and perhaps even medication, a lot of these people might be helped to leave the riverbed legally and appropriately as served by the government of this country, of this city, of this state, and of this board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Do we have any more public speakers?
Hi. Board of Supervisors. My name is Dwight Smith. I've lived at the Isaiah House Catholic Worker Shelter for the last 20 years. I have a lot of associates that are homeless, but I come today to present the board with two inordinately cost-effective measures that could attest to the board's concern for the homeless. One would be to make sure that the environmental health portion of the OC Public Health Department conducts regular inspections of the food that is served inside the courtyard. I was told by a member of CityNet that 1/3 of the food served there is prepared on home stoves. That's a violation of state law, and there have been a number of cases of people hospitalized for food poisoning. An all-volunteer approach to serving people should not, it shouldn't void public health laws. There's no running water for the men in the courtyard. No running water for 481 people the other night. It's fine for the board to say that the people in the riverbed can seek shelter elsewhere. But this board, because it contracts with the people who run those shelters, Mercy House and the Midnight Mission and CityNet, knows exactly how many vacancies there are. There might be 20 vacancies left in Anaheim. I hear that the courtyard's full. And as you know, the Santa Ana Armory is limited to families with minor children and single women. So it's clearly not a resource that presents any meaningful contribution to shelter for the people living in the riverbed. That's why they're there. The second thing I'd like to ask is that the Board of Supervisors, through the Social Services Agency, provide an address so that people can get their. We spend a great deal of money to have caseworkers and generate those California Advantage cards. But the county relies exclusively on either private forces or, in my case, a private home for people to get their mail. And we're not going to do it anymore. We just can't. I've had to threaten the Social Services Agency and the Mental Health Agency with trespassing if they send one more crazy, angry person to my house to get their check or their card or any of the other stuff the county spends billions of dollars to provide people. You need to audit it through finding out who's getting their cards and who's stealing their cards. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more speakers? Madam Clerk?
No, we don't.
Great. That concludes the public comment section.